Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be tackling another batch of vintage Penguin crime paperbacks from that collection I got recently. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which is number 209, and this is in a dust wrapper. I think the one I've already got is also in a dust wrapper, so this I don't think is going to be an upgrade, but that is rather beautiful underneath, isn't it? That is corking. Very, very nice copy of that indeed. And the wrapper's okay as well. But as I said, I already have one in a wrapper, so I suspect mine is a similar grade to this one. But I will compare. So since we did the last lot of these Penguin crimes, I have taken them up into my collection room, and I've compared the copies against the ones in my own collection. And obviously I've upgraded more than I thought I was going to, in actual fact. But I'm really, really pleased to get them, so that's the main thing. That's another very nice one. Now there are 4 books here that were for another collector, and I'm not going to even show them because they're, in effect, I was just like looking after them as part of the bigger deal. So I'm not going to clean them. They're exactly as I received them from the original owner. Now this one's a bit of a dog, sadly. This one's been very well worn. This one here. Yes, this is looking a little tired, shall we say. I think it is a first, but just rough. Yes, rough. Well, it's got the old Brian Kesterton prices inside. So we get that out first of all. There we go. And then, well, I think it is worth putting a slither of glue in there, but you know, we're not miracle workers here, and this book is, you know, quite the worn little beast. So we'll just have to leave that as is, and then we can put another little bit in there, like so. There we go. A 2-ply affair at the top here again. So we've seen it before, where the original, like the fine tuning of the cover, is on another layer of paper, and we got to like glue both bits down separately. Which is what we've done there. So not the greatest of copies, but at least it's a copy, and it'll be okay for somebody as a filler, no doubt. Police at the Funeral. The fact that I have no crime at all prior to this collection left in my light stock just shows how popular and how scarce generally it is. I don't believe we gave this one a brush, actually. There we are. All right. An Oxford tragedy. It's a tragedy. £8 inside this one, so evidently the previous owner was happy to pay like a collector's price at that time to get hold of some of these ones that he was missing. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's the only way. You just never know when another copy might come your way, sometimes never. So if you're really determined to finish the set, you know, you just got to end up paying a collector's price. It is as simple as that. Now this camera is actually a little bit skew with. I need to just rearrange that. So that's that one done. I'm going to just rearrange the camera. There we are, it should be a bit better. So the Fleet Hall Inheritance, Richard Cavern. So a little bit of the bottom of the spine needing repairing. It just says first, 1939. Yep, there we are. And a little bit of repair work required again. Uncurling it. Yeah, I really enjoyed getting my my collection to one side and having this new collection to compare it to. And I was quite surprised, but pleasantly surprised, that I had a nice amount of upgrades myself, which was good from this collection, because I wasn't really sure. And I have decided, like the reprint of Mysterious Fairy Styles, the second printing of it, I have decided to keep that one as well. Simply because I used to have the second and third prints and I got rid of them, and I do actually regret that. So I've decided to keep hold of them. Right, now this is one on my list for upgrades, so I'm really pleased because it's in a dust wrapper. So I'm supremely pleased to get an upgrade of that. Now, first of all, it looks like it's got some pencil on the front. Not sure, is that going to come off? Yeah, this is a nice upgrade. This was on my list. I did have a real dog. Then I had one which was unwrappered, but still not great. And now finally a wrappered one. Super cool. That is super cool. Good old Gladys Mitchell. I mean, the wrapper's not mint, but it's still very nice. And it's done its job of keeping the book very clean underneath. That is lovely. Really nice, that one. So that's a real upgrade for me against my current one. Beautiful. Here's another one, also in a wrapper, Stealthy Terror. Super cool. There we are. This one's a little bit toned, a little bit aged. Like me, a little bit aged, but not ancient. There we are. Very nice. Now, this one's also in a wrapper, which I don't think my existing one is in a wrapper, so I'm very pleased to add the wrapper to my collection. Now, the next one was also one that was a little bit low grade, the White Cockatoo, and I suspect that the copy, this isn't in a wrapper, the copy I've got is about the same as the one we're looking at here. Alas, but there you go, that's how it goes. A very grubby top, indeed. Yeah, a little bit brittle, but yeah, I think my current one is about on a par with that, as I recall. Right, another non-crime one here. The Brontes went to wars, 245. In a wrapper. We are almost at the point where wrappers get dropped completely with the rapidly approaching Second World War. There we are. Slight split at the bottom of the spine, but you know, it's all right. Not perfect, but it'll do. Right, Death in Ecstasy. J.M. Marsh. This one's got a spine roll on it. 1940 now. Yeah, it just doesn't sit very flat, but it's a copy. And we start getting into the realms of the more harder to get penguins now. Right, Hag's Nooks. This is nice because it's in a wrapper, which once again I don't think mine is, so that's pretty lucky. So I suspect this is an upgrade for me. I reckon. And Penguin would end up publishing an awful lot of John Dixon Carr over the years, but this, I think this might be the first time they've done it. There we are. So yeah, I think that's going to be an upgrade. Now this next one, sadly, is in a right old state. Look at it, it's got some tape which is sort of peeling. So let's see what we can do with this, if we can get all this tape off. It looks like the tape is holding on the remnants of the dust wrapper. So let's take that off. There we are. So it has still got a dust wrapper. Underneath it's not too bad, but the actual dust wrapper itself is in a bit of a sorry old way. The tape, as we often find, is, you know, most of it is dyed, but some of it hasn't. There we are. So most of the dust wrapper's just fallen off. I think we're probably better off leaving the dust wrapper off this one. We'll just leave it flat like that. Underneath, though, it's created a very nice looking book. Can't remember what condition my current one is in. See, the thing is, if I had a dust wrapper like that, I'd have the book on the shelf as it was, without the wrapper. And I can't put my hand on my bag of dust wrappers at the moment, sadly, because I've got them all laid out flat. That was a bit of tape in there as well. So internal taping as well, which is always a horrible sight. I've seen it before though, sadly. The book is better off without it and just having a loose page, believe me. Same at the front here. So at the time, the repair probably looked quite nice. I thought, oh well, yeah, I kept it nice and tidy, but as the tape has got old over the decades, it's gone brown and horrible and ruined the book. So although it's got a wrapper, it's borderline condition. I mean, it's still nice, don't get me wrong. Someone's going to have this. And from the outside, it's a very, very presentable copy. But it has had a bit of amateur repair work done on it, which is not ideal. But we'll pop it there, and I'm going to pop the dust wrapper just on top so it doesn't get any worse. Right. The Dying Older Man, Henry Wade. This one's quite spine rolled. Yeah, it's quite spine rolled, that one, but it is what it is. Right, thin little number here, Case of the Late Pig, quite a common one as crime books go. Now this looks like it's from the same collection, isn't it? It's covered in horrible tape. Oh dear, this is nasty, isn't it? It's nasty. I don't know if this is going to be savable. Look at that, very, very rough. Taped at the back as well. It is a first, but that one to me is actually quite a common book, and that one to me is not really worth doing anything with. I'm going to put it in my my job lot pile of spare ones. So a collector's not going to rush to want that one, but as a job lot, as a starter, it might be okay, you know. Right, At the Blue Gates, Richard Cavern again, another one, Richard Cavern, that's very heavily read. But it's got that sticker on the front, which doesn't look very promising, and the spine needs repairing. So let's do the internals first and the edges. But I have to say I'm already worried about the front cover. Yeah, this one has been quite literally through the wars. Stained on the top as well. Right. See if we can glue that back, this bit back on. Quite a generous little wedge has gone on there. This has had tape on it at some point, which has been taken off. Maybe you could, not by me, you can see in fact at the top and bottom this has had some tape on it. And someone's taken the tape off. Yes, not a great deal of eye appeal on this particular one, and I suspect that's probably not going to come off, but let's have a look. Not that it's going to make the book that much worse, you know, the state it's in at the moment. Yeah, it had already torn. So I think we're going to leave it on, because else it will leave a tear mark. So that looks like 65 or something, doesn't it? So in that particular case, we'll just leave it on. And that is what it is, really. It's an example of, all of these are getting scarce now. Right, the public school murder. Very, very dusty on the top edge here. I shall do this one and take a little break. Cool the camera down, cool the studio down. There we are. A little bit of glue required here on the spine. Little trickle. It's lovely. There's always that bit there, which is the worst. There we are. So, a tricky book, that one, at the best of times. But I think we've done all right getting that one back to, well, as good as we can, really, Not easy, but not too bad. Once again, someone will have it. Right, let's take a short break there. Right, carrying on there with number 279. And this one, once again, has got a flipping Murder 1 sticker on the front. So I'm hoping that one comes off all right. It looks quite clean and fresh. A bit like this book, so fingers crossed. Yeah, I remember going into Murder 1 a few times. I'm trying to remember what I bought in there. I seem to remember when I went in, they did have quite a lot of penguins, but they didn't have early ones, and that's what I was sort of concentrating on at the time, because I'd only just started collecting penguin, and I was looking for ones under 1,000, and they didn't have a lot of them. So I don't remember buying any from Murder 1 at all, but I'm sure they sold a lot of them. I'm certain they did. And that actually came off all right. Not perfect, but it's a nice bright copy of that particular one. I don't think it's a mega rare one, but it is a nice one. Now, just looking at the bottom of the spine here. Yeah, I think it will benefit from sliding a tiny bit of glue in there. Glue has decided to go hard on me. How very dare it, I hear you cry. Come on, there we are. Probably too much now, it's going to squidge everywhere. Oh, not too bad. Yeah, it's quite a nice copy of that one, so hopefully someone will be very happy with that one. I can't remember the condition of mine, actually, of that particular one. Another odd non-crime one. I picked up, there's a few in this collection. They didn't all come from the main collection. There's a handful in here which are just more recent pickups, because the day after I bought the collection, I then had a book hunting trip in Frome in Somerset, where I'd never been to before, and I picked up 4 there, all pre-500. We've got some to come in a minute, and they are also in this particular little lot. There we are. So that was number 291. So that's a full another 100 from 200 to 300. And now we start getting onto the really scarce books. These are the ones in the 300s and 400s. And we will do all of these in this video. So we're going to be doing from number 200 to 500. So these are where the books start to get pretty rare and also pretty expensive. Like this book, for example, is probably £100, if you can believe it. Although we evidently have some spine regluing to do. But yeah, this is the realm of the biggies now. For the serious collector amongst us, or the collector who's already got all the rest of it, got the easy ones, now we're onto the hard ones. And within this little group, some of them are harder to get than others. It's as simple as that. There is one very, very rare book which we won't see because it's already accounted for. Another collector's got that. I promised it to him and he has got it, so that's all good. But this one was one of the ones on my upgrade list, I believe, 3 Hunting Horns. So this is a copy I may end up keeping myself. I'm just popping these in bags, A, because they're thin. Some of them are very fragile, so they need to be in bags. But also because they just need it. They just need the extra level of protection. Yeah, I'm certain that that's an upgrade. This one, I remember, was the first really early scarce book I ever found. And I got it at a car boot sale. And I thought, oh, that's a nice early one. And it was a first printing. And it's still the copy I've got today. There we are. This one's very warm, but once again, as I said, in really top shape. This is £125. In this sort of condition, I'm thinking probably it'll be about maybe £50 or £60. I don't know. We'll see. It's a very, very good book, apparently, this one. It was a bit too thick to go into a paperback bag. Right. Eyes of Max Carados. So, yeah, a little bit of regluing required. Here we are. Slight split at the bottom of the spine, but once again, very, very tough. This very, very tough indeed to find any of these. Now, this is the ultimate scarce period for Penguin that we are doing now. 1943, 1944. And it's an absolute privilege to be cleaning these and sharing the video with you. I hope you enjoy it, because it's not every day you see such utter rarities like this one. It's just, oh, they just keep coming, don't they? You can really see now, look, the paper is almost see-through. Look at that. I think this might be an improver on my own one. I just can't remember. Some of these I've got beautiful copies of, other ones not. And I know at least one of these is a reprint rather, not a double, it's a reprint. One of the rare ones, sadly. And it was one that I had as an upgrade. I think it's Cutthroat. But the reprint is so mint, I think I'm going to keep it. Because I've been toying with the idea of keeping really nice condition reprints of the key books. Because if I ever want to read one, I don't want to read the original. It's going to be too valuable and too delicate to read. Oh, that's just beautiful, that is just beautiful. I suspect that's going to be another £100 plus book, that one. Right, Top Story Murder. So a couple of these. This is where they slightly, ever so slightly, get a little bit easier again for the next 4 or 5 books, and then they go scarce. This one is coming away. In fact, it's come away completely, so that's fine. But while it is away, we'll do the edges. I said no worry about dust wrappers anymore. They're long gone because of the paper rationing. Nice generous bit because we have to reglue the entire spine. That's okay. I think this one is rare, but it's not ridiculous, if you know what I mean. These next few. But I gotta admit, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to... One of the hardest things is because some of these books sell so infrequently, keeping track of what they've been selling for is actually much harder than you might think. And I do follow Rare Penguin book sales. I actually do follow that. But what appears online is so infrequent that, you know, it's not like you can go online and say, oh, the last 5 copies have done that. Not unless you're keeping a spreadsheet and a record of all the copies that have sold to get some sort of trend data. So this was only $2.50. Wow. Josephine Bell, nice copy again. I said I just can't remember which ones are going to be upgrades and which ones aren't, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to have fun finding out. Okay. Right. A non-crime one now, Men in Chains. Can't remember if this is one I bought in Froome yesterday or not. I just can't remember. No, it wasn't, because it didn't have any writing inside. This is just from that Scarce period. It's as simple as that, you know. That's why this is here. Yep, very nice. Not Fortune, not like the crime ones, but still a nice clean sort of edition. No idea what mine is like. But yeah, 325. That's very nice. This one is a more common crime one as well, Jumping Jenny. For some reason, this one does seem to turn out. This is quite a robust copy. It feels really good in the hand. That one, that's a really nice one. Very dusty. Yeah, that's a nice copy of that. Although more common, that is a pretty nice copy of that one. So that might be one I upgrade. This next one's interesting. It's the first in the famous trial series, but it's got a blank back. So what that basically means is that an advertiser would have paid to advertise, say, on the first 25,000 copies, and then the other 25,000 copies would be blank. So say the print run was 50,000, half of it was with an advert and half of it was blank. And that does happen. So I've got a few blank backs. I've only sort of really started picking them up lately. But I actually suspect this is one of the ones I actually already have with a blank back. I've got both versions of it. And it's often hard to find out which one is the rarer of the two. But even so, it's a nice little one. It's not mint or anything. It's got some wear, but it is what it is. Right, He Laughed at Murder. Look at that, a big 1 shilling on the front. Richard Cavern again. We've not had a lot of luck with his books being in nice condition, have we, in this collection? So a little bit of top of the spine needing to be re-glued. (1941) still, so theoretically we're not in the absolute worst period for scarcity, but scarce enough, shall we say. There we are now. I'm going to put just a little slither of glue down the edge there. Might just help that stay in place. But it has lost a tiny bit of the bottom of the spine. But that's how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles in the world of rare paperbacks. The edges are quite clean. So someone will have that. It's not perfect by any means, but what I tend to do, unlike a lot of dealers, is I send photos. You know, I just take, how easy is it just to take some photos on your phone? So that's what I tend to do, so people can see exactly what they're going to be getting. Right, the nursing home murder. The scarce one. Now this has got tape on. This has got magi tape on there holding it in place. And I don't know if that means a little bit of loss there. The thinnest of thin paper. Look at it, it's like toilet paper. Extremely scarce. So there's magi tape there. There's magi tape on the bottom of the spine. It's just a scarce little book. Not very dusty, mind you. But I'm just going to put that back into its bag. And there's nothing we can do about that. We're not going to try and take that tape off. Even though it is magi tape, we'll let the new owner do that. But we'll just keep it in there, and it is what it is. I'm sure someone is going to fancy it. Right, British Infant Brown. This is another scarce one. This is one I did get in Froome. So give this one a little brush in a sec. It's quite spotty in actual fact, but I know it's a hard one to find. And I've got so little pre-500 prior to this crime collection, I was loath to leave it behind, really, you know. But it's certainly seen better days, but it's all right. It's not awful. It's just not great, you know. But it is from that scarce period, so that's why it gets a bit of a pass. Right, this is another one which isn't ridiculously difficult to find, the silk stocking murders. It's not easy, but it's not ridiculous. Now this is needing a tiny little bit of glue there. There we are. (1941). It's been reinforced with some tape again there. So interesting. It looks like it's magi tape. So I wonder if that's what the last owner did. That would be a turn up, wouldn't it? It's another scarce one. William Cook, antique dealer. It's got some pieces out of the back cover here. In fact, the back cover is detached. And that's been held in with tape. So this is on its last legs. But a rarity. So we need to keep this one in the bag just to keep it all in one piece. But I'm sure someone will be interested in that. It's not your everyday common penguin book. There is a little 9 on the front. I wonder if that'll come off. And it does, yeah. That may have been 9p, possibly. There we are. So yeah, been through the wars a little bit, that one, but at the same time, a scarce offering. Right. Okay. So now we've got Death in the Stocks, another Georgette Hare. Yeah, that's okay. Put a tiny bit of glue back in there. Where that's come away. Apart from that, it is what it is. A pretty darn scarce penguin, nice and flat. Feels like it needs a bit of a weight on it, but I think the bag is bending that back into shape slightly. Right, we'll just get a couple more done here. So we got Death of a Ghost. Now this is a rare one, but it's also got plenty of wear here, wear and tear. So maybe the cover is detached. It has been, in fact. What about the back cover? Not quite. There we are. Right, so I think before we put the cover back on, we'll just redo this bit of the spine. There's a tiny bit of spine left, so we might as well stick on what we've got left. Which isn't very much, but it is something. One of the big things with a damaged spine is collectors are looking for the number, and that sadly is not present on this one. It's okay. Someone will have this as a filler. These books are just so scarce, you know, you just have to grab them when you see them, because you may never see them again. And I'm not going to re-glue that one. I'm just going to leave that as a detached cover. But someone could, theoretically, the new owner could perhaps put just a trench of glue down the edge there, just to keep it complete. But I think that's probably as good as I'd like to do that one. Right, another interesting one with a blank back. So I can't remember ever seeing this one with a blank back. And on the face of it, it looks a pretty nice copy, this one, of one of the Scarces. There we are, 1941. Yeah, it's blank, no advertising whatsoever. So very, very nice. So I think that may be a variant. However, if someone's asked me for this one, I may keep this one and let my other one go, because that's a nice condition, and I think the blank backs are generally scarcer than the advertising backs, I think. Okay. Now the next one is a scarce one, but this is quite low grade. The general goes too far. It's been magi-taped again, so someone's repaired it in amateur time. Well, not that amateur, but it's been repaired with tape, which is always a no-no, but what can you do? It is a scarce book, this one, but I certainly won't charge a lot for it. So someone could potentially get quite the bargain there. But it's supremely brittle. It's in a right old 2 and 8, to be honest. But someone might be happy with it. And we'll just pop that back in the bag. I mean, a really nice one of that. I used to think this was in one of the top 10 rare ones, but I'm not so sure now. But I would say that particular book, if it was in top shape, you'd be looking at 250 quid. I think in that condition, you're probably looking, well, someone's probably going to want it, even in that state, for probably about 40 to 50 maybe. Anyway, we'll take another break. Okay, so we'll do this last little run now. So this is number 384, William Cook, Antique Dealer. That's a pretty nice copy of that one. This is a scarce. See, these are all scarce now. Now this one is a reprint, so that is worth pointing out. Look, reprinted July 1943. So need to bear that in mind. It's still a nice one, mind you. But because it's a reprint, it'll only be worth a fraction of the first, sadly. Such is the way of the Penguin collector. They like the first editions. Although I've got to admit, when I was starting out as a collector, with these wartime ones, I was more than happy to have a reprint, just to fill the number in. I remember I had Murder by Burial was one that I had as a reprint for ages, and there's a copy in here, but because it's on my upgrade list, I have got the first of it now, but not in very nice condition, and the copy in this collection is also not very nice, sadly. But I think that one there, 364, is the first actual reprint we've come across, isn't it? Except the reprint of Styles, which was, once again, I'm definitely keeping because they don't turn up very often in any printing. Right, an early-ish Graham Greene, not the first that he did for Penguin, but it's an early one. 392. It's okay, it's got a slight weird gluing thing going on, but that's okay. Apart from that, it's fine. I'm going to leave that 392 in there, although it is quite clear on the spine there. So, right, this is a scarcer one, Bamboo Blonde. This goes for a few pounds, you know. Some of the usual chips and what have you. That's the first. Yeah, apart from a gentle brush. That just has to go back in the bag because it's very delicate. And we don't want it getting any worse, so we'll just leave that as is. Panic Party, another nice one. One of these are the key books. These are the ones that really are often missing from collections. There we are, 1942. Tiny name in there. There we go. It's lovely. That may be an improver on my own one. I look forward to checking that out tomorrow. I think mine's pretty good, in all honesty, but I can't remember. And this one is one I need to upgrade, but it's also a reprint. Beautiful condition. I thought, oh, that's a lovely one. And it is one of the rarest ones of all. But sadly, yeah, look, reprint from March 1944. It's so nice, however, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it because it is a beautiful condition reprint. So that will be joining my collection, that fair one. Another scarce one here, Second Shot. This may be an improver on mine. I haven't quite got my list with me. It is missing the bottom of the number. So that is a bit of a detractor in the world of Penguin. Oh, look at that. That bit's come off completely, just like that. As I was saying just now, the Penguin collectors like to see they like to see the number if possible. God, that bit of glue is just alive. They like to see the bit of glue. They like to see the number, rather. And if the number is missing, which sometimes they are, it's just how it goes, then you just have to accept it, you know. But you see all sorts of things being done with them. You see the number being put back in and people writing it in. I myself have replaced 2 spines on rare books. Thankfully, one of them I'll be able to replace with the copy in this collection, which is Murder at the Admiralty. Half my copy of Murder at the Admiralty has got a replacement spine. Sadly, Speedy Death, which is another one I'm after, that's also in this collection, but it's just not, it's a poor copy, so it's not going to be any sort of improvement, I don't think, on what I've got. But I will obviously have a little look. There we are. Yeah, the cover is just hanging on by a thread, but it is all there, and in actual fact it's quite clean, in all honesty. It's just a little bit fragile. But I think someone will probably be okay with that one, because it is so rare, you know. Along with this one, Artifacts Intervenes, another very, very rare. Some people say this is amongst the rarest of them all. Certainly, I think this one will be a slight improver over my current one, as long as it's a first, which it is. Yeah, just the cover's just holding on there. So what I'm going to do, I am going to actually re-glue that. In fact, yeah, it's not quite come off completely. It is holding on by one page. Well, it's keeping it complete, pretty much, you know. So it's a rare one. There ain't no denying that. It is a rare book. I don't want to fiddle with that any more than we already have, really. Right, so here's a copy of Murder by Burial, another one which I know I need to upgrade, but look, someone's already, I don't know what they've quite done there. It looks like they've reinforced the spine from below and then re-glued it back on. Yeah, it's got loose cover, £2. So it is what it is. Someone may be okay with it. Someone may want to put their own spine on. That might be a better option, you know. But the fact that they've done this sort of leaves, you could do your own spine. You could put a replacement spine on there, but sort of pinch it and cover it. Yeah, that might work. It might make it a little bit more presentable for somebody. I think that may be a bit of a project for my friend Mark, who is a book designer. I think I might ask him to do a Murder by Burial replacement spine for me, because we've got a template, you see. I'll ask him to do that based on the one that I've got, and then we just fold it. You just fold it over like that, and it sort of fits. So I might pass him that to see if he fancies doing that. I won't do it today because it's his 60th birthday. It'd be a bit of a shame to give him a commission on his birthday, wouldn't it? Right, why shoot a butler? Well, I don't know. 429. A little bit of wear on this one. I think this is one of the ones I've got a pretty nice copy of, as I recall. I said you can't go crazy repairing loads on these because they just won't be able to handle it. So you just have to tread carefully. There we are. The number is preserved, which is the important bit for a lot of people. Oh, where's the bag for that then? I'm sure that was in a paperback bag, but now it seems to have vanished. I blame the poltergeists, personally. It's okay. Right. Now this next one is a dog, and it's a shame because this is another one that I've got with a false spine on. So it's really, really rough. But the false spine trick could work again. This could be repaired. Because this is sort of like what mine was like when I bought mine. So there's a chance it could be saved. I wonder why this particular book is just so prone to falling to bits over the years, you know. So that might be a second one for my friend to do. Get him to do Speedy Death and Murder by Burial. And then if we can sell them with a replacement spine, they'll look quite nice. Because they're so scarce, you know, people should be just happy to have them in any condition, really. It just shows if there is nice ones out there, they genuinely are scarce. But we're going to leave that as is, because that is another one which is going to need a bit of a project, I think, on that. Right, Max Carados. Another beautiful one. This looks pretty nice. Let's check that it's the correct printing. This is 250G, yeah. Looks good to me. pretty nice copy, that one. Someone's going to be very happy with that. I'd say it's on a par with the one I've already got, as I recall. My existing one is very, very similar condition. Slight top of the spine coming away. There we are. Very nice. The Nebulae coat, another rare one. Sadly missing the bottom of the spine, including the number. But I'm not going to do anything else to that one. I'm going to just keep that as is now. Change of pace, we've got Into Madagascar. This is one I got from Froome again, another just early one from that Scarce period. So we've got penguins up to number 3000 in the crime. So potentially we've still got a long way to go with this collection. But I wanted to get this first sort of 500 done and dusted, because there's people waiting to buy them once I've gone through and upgraded my own collection. And it would be nice to get my money back on the collection as a whole. And then the pressure's off to do the rest of the crime books as and when we get round to it. I can mix it in with some other stuff then as well. But that's fine. A nice Scarce little travel book. This is a real favourite of mine, Brighton Rock, and this is a very, very bright copy of Brighton Rock. That is pretty nice, that. There's a tiny dot there. This is a tough one to find in nice condition, I'll tell you that. And that looks to me as if it's already had some sort of repair work done on the spine, but not by me, of course. I've had a few copies of this through my hands because it's a favourite book of mine, and it tends to go, really nice ones sell for about 60 now, 60 quid. There is a version which is a Forces Book Club version, and that's more like 600. I've never ever come across one for sale, but I know someone who did find one, I think about a year ago. Supremely rare. But even this regular penguin is a Scarce one. But that's a pretty nice copy of that one. That's someone will be very happy to have that. Very, very bright. I think the one I've got is an absolute beauty, because I've had, as I said, a few copies through my hands, but that is very nice indeed. That's probably 50 quid, that one. Very, very beautiful indeed. There's also a reprint, and it's a reprint I haven't got. It's a later one, and I actually, Brighton Rock's one of those penguin books that I save all the different editions of. So this is a later one. There's a few that I do that with Penguin. Down and Out in Paris and London, Day of the Triffids is another one. There, this is the 1948 copy of Right and Rock. A little bit of a darkened spine, but I'll be okay with that, to be honest. Right. Death in a White Tie, number 450. J.M. Marsh. There you go. Very, very dusty top on this one. There we are. Yeah, it is what it is, which is a rare one. It's as simple as that. It's just a rare, rare book. 1944. There we are. Okay. Well, we've got a little small pile left. So Flowers for the Judge. This one has been taped, but it's been vintage taped, not newly taped. Oh no, in fact it's virtually coming off. So let's see. It's probably because the covers are virtually detached. Yes, the back cover is where it's struggling. Better off than on. I think we'll agree there. Right. So we'll just get that out of the equation a moment. Let's see. So we need to re-glue this first of all, I think, because it's just going to be flapping around. Probably overshot that slightly, but that's okay. Yeah, there's just not a lot you can do with something like that. It's just, it is what it is, you know, which ain't great, but it's better than all that tape on it, you know what I mean? I just feel maybe we can re-glue some of this back down. As I said, don't forget this glue dries completely clear. It's just going to give it a little bit more rigidity. but a very scarce little offering, that one. And someone will be glad of this one in any condition. It's that sort of a book, you know, where they just don't turn up for sale very often. So generally they sell in any state, which is quite handy because that one is in a bit of a state. There's no two ways about it. Right, the next one is almost ironic because it's Death on the Borough Council, and this was the last book I needed to complete my series of the first 1,000 penguins. And this one got a bit of tape down the bottom there, which I don't think mine has. But apart from that, are there any other defects on this particular bad boy? £20 it said inside. There we are. I mean, that's a pretty nice copy of that, isn't it? I'd say that's probably better than the one that I've got. And this is one of the more expensive penguins to find. The only fault with it is the little bit of magic tape on the bottom of the spine. But apart from that, that's a pretty nice copy of that one. So, bookshop stamp at the top there. That's it. So I think whoever gets that one is going to be doing very, very well indeed, because that's a real rarity, that one. Right, Hangman's Guests. This looks a nice copy, considering it's from the very rare period again. So hopefully, yeah, that's a first. That's immaculate. I'm pretty sure that's going to be an upgrade. That is a beautiful, beautiful book, and there is nothing else to do on it. A beauty. Never Come Back. Is this a first or a reprint? First again, yeah. Once again, it's from the same cut. Absolutely beautiful. Tip-top shape, that. Lost Stradivarius, nice easy common one. So next week, not sure what we're going to be doing just yet. It might be the Hutchinson Services editions. We'll just have to wait and see. But that'll be in 7 days' time. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed it. These have been some of the very rarest penguins that exist. Simple as that. Certainly within the crime genre. As we do this last one, which is an upgrade for me. So if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please, of course, hit the subscribe button for regular vintage penguin content. Yep, I'm delighted with that. That's a big upgrade for me, that one. And I will be seeing you again in 7 days' time with another video. Bye.